Hello, my name is Faisal Khan. I want to talk to you why I feel crypto is becoming so necessary. A couple of years ago, I can't unfortunately name the organization. There was an institution in the Middle East that was an Islamic bank. And they were basically generally talking, it was in the Middle East, so they were talking about a problem where they saw that a lot of Islamic banks worldwide were having difficulty in getting access to correspondent banking, having difficulty in getting access to dollar clearing, euro clearing, pound clearing, etc. So what did this entity do? Well, this entity for first had is a pretty large Islamic bank, and what it had was it had great relations with J.P. Morgan Chase, with Bank of America, with Citibank, with Deutsche, with Standard Chartered, with Bank of Tokyo and Mitsubishi Japan, and many other banks around the world, DBS in Singapore. So they decided to be the gateway routers, if you will. And what they decided to do essentially was to issue an Islamic stable coin or a stable dollar coin. We are calling it an Islamic stable dollar coin, but it was essentially a Sharia compliant. I'm going to use the lens cap of my camera as an example. So let's say this is the coin. So this would be an Islamically compliant, Sharia compliant $1. And it would basically be a stable coin. And what they were giving it to is they were giving it to all the other Islamic banks to trade. And you could trade it. And here was the best part, the traveled rule. And this is, I'm talking about almost 4 years back. The traveled rule was part and parcel of it. So wherever this token went and got traded with other Islamic banks, you could find and all the tokenized information of the identity of the person, the bank, the company, the entity, the nature of the transaction was part and parcel with it. And only when they wanted to cash it out, it would go to the main sponsoring Islamic bank. And because they had access to all the cities and the JP Morgan Chases and the Deutsches of the world, they would then stop this Islamic dollar, trade the money out into fiat and hand it over. And likewise, if you wanted to load the money, you would come in through one of these portals or these gateways, bring in your fiat. The fiat would be parked in a Sharia compliant bank account, non-interest based, etc., etc. And the tokenized version of that IOU, the dollar, the Islamic dollar, or the Sharia compliant dollar would be given to you, or the pound, the euro. It was a great project. It was a little ahead of itself, I would say that. And that's one of the reasons why it didn't go. The primary reason why it didn't go is because the sponsor, the person who was spearheading the whole thing, was a very illuminating person. He was a I'd call him a super glue. He was a glue that really bound a whole lot of institutions, a whole lot of people, personas, different characteristics, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, countries, etc. And this person had the magic to really make it happen. Unfortunately, he contracted cancer and he passed very, very quickly. So in about 6 months, his life was over. And after that, when he passed away, there was no one to give the baton to. There was no one to take the mission forward. There was no one with the vision, or even I should say the balls to take it forward and execute it. It was one of those projects that was a beautiful project, just never saw the light of the day. But I think it's not too far away when we might see a resurgence of something similar, where we might see a so-called a traded dollar or a traded commodity coming to being. And this is exactly what now the new Islamic blocs are trying to do, Turkey being one of them. Where, for example, China's CBDC, the central bank issued digital currency might be doing in their specific bloc. It might include India, it might include Russia. The ASEAN bloc may come up with their own, digitally traded dollar or IOU with a basket of currencies. And the same thing is happening right now with the sand dollar. And the sand dollar is happening in the Caribbean. And I think it was Barbados or Jamaica, one of the two. I think it was Jamaica, which issued the sand dollar. There's a pilot going on right now. And it was the world's first CBDC. The United States is getting closer. But obviously, the United States wants to get into it in such a way so that they have dominance of that digital dollar and make sure that the power and the parity and the reach and the reserve currency status of the US dollar is maintained. I doubt that will be there going forward, because with the ability to issue a digital dollar with China fight the dragon taking on the American eagle. I think the dragon may just have a lot of power over here. It's not evident yet, but a lot of countries are rallying behind it because of the fact that they see the dominance of the dollar being too prohibitive in as far as what they could do. For example, look at Iran. Iran cannot get access to banking, period. Look at other countries like Venezuela, whatever. The political differences aside, there are still humanitarian efforts that are absolutely banned because they simply can't get access to banking. And if you want to deal in something and you have the US dollar, well, guess what? You can be switched off at a moment's notice. So I feel that, things like this, the Islamic dollars that are then only traded in certain currencies and then that are backed by not just the US dollar, but can be backed by gold, can be backed by a basket of currencies, can be backed by an index fund of gold, basket currencies, crypto elements, etc., so that the volatility element is literally reduced down to an absolute minimum. And that if you have some entity trying to influence you or do some arm twisting, it will not work. So the example that I gave you of the Islamic dollar, it was 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, was pretty ahead of its time. And, we were very gung-ho, we were very excited about it. We were looking at, is it going to be on the Tethermint? Is it going to be on the Ethereum? Is it going to be on this blockchain, on that blockchain? Will it be a private one? Will it be permissionless? How do we go about it? And we had figured quite a lot of things out. Then Stellar was there at that time, the Ripple ledger was coming up, etc. And there were many other, avenues where we could have taken that and put it on the blockchain. But sadly, like I said, the captain in charge of this entire vessel passed away very suddenly to cancer. And there was no one else with that vision or that thought process or that foresight, or laser focus even, to carry it forward. But I feel that now when we are getting more and more acclimatized, we're getting more and more attuned to what cryptocurrencies can offer. We're getting more acceptable as a thought idea that I think we need to look at cryptocurrencies. Even countries once that deemed said are now looking at it. I mean, I was flabbergasted when I heard that the Russian Duma had now put in a bill that would ban cryptocurrencies. I don't think so it's going to be a good idea. Banning cryptocurrencies, etc., is going to create more stress on your financial system because there are going to be ways of taking money. And the Russians are one of the biggest players in the cryptocurrency. So are the Chinese, so are the Ukrainians, so are the Indians, so are the Nigerians, so are the Brazilians, the Argentinians, the Venezuelans. They all are on cryptocurrency. Yesterday, I was talking to some private bankers in Lebanon, where the currency, the Lebanon pound, I guess that's what it's called, whatever it is, has gone down to the dogs. And there's a huge resurgence of, Lebanese wealthy families putting their money in crypto, getting pseudo access through banking, through Lithuanian EMIs, where the Lithuanian EMIs are now charging 5% just to bring money in, and 5% and 3% to do this, and 2% to do this, and making a killing on it. And how is the money being transported? Crypto. It's all crypto. So I think crypto should not be taken lightly. And I think that countries need to now look at that if they want to get off from the dominance of some certain currencies and they want to create their own trading blocks and they want to have their own, let's say an IOU that can be traded around, crypto would be a good thing. Turkey, for example, is looking at this thing. China is looking at it. India is looking at it. A few ASEAN countries are looking at it. Russia is looking at it. The Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, just published a document on it. Like I said, the entire Caribbean is looking at it. And needless to say, the United States is also now looking at it. So I think CBDCs, crypto, specialized networks, limited closed loop IOUs and tokens are the future. There's a lot of debate as to, is it going to be a one network to rule them all? I don't think so. I think there are going to be a multitude of networks, but it is very exciting times, and really, really, I think in the coming months, and if years, definitely, but definitely also in the coming months, you will see the first CBDCs really come out and you're going to witness history. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Maybe if you have something to add, something to show, shed some light on, an opinion, an article, or some other piece of news, be happy to read it. If you have a business inquiry, there's a contact form in the description below. There's also a business WhatsApp number. Till next time, this is Faisal Khan signing off.